Cheers, Sags. Afternoon, everyone. It is exactly 1 year since Alan Pardew walked back into Selhurst Park with Crystal Palace stranded in 18th and 1 point from safety. He walks along the touchline in a long navy trench coat, taking applause from all four sides of the ground as he celebrates his anniversary. And what an anniversary it is, because they start the day in 7th but can quite easily jump back to 5th with a win today. It's fair to say that 2015 for Alan Pardew and Crystal Palace was a very good year. For Chelsea, it's been mixed. They won the title in May, but largely on what they accrued in the first half of the season and the distance they put between themselves, Manchester City and the rest. In the 37 games in the Premier League in the last 12 months that they've played, they've picked up just 61 points. That's 20 points less than Arsenal. And they are still without a win since Gus Hiddink walked back through the door. Let's get the teams.
Crystal Palace.
They start with Hennessy in goal, the back four of Ward, Dan, Delaney and Soiree. MacArthur and Jelinek will patrol in midfield with Zaha, Chung Yong Lee and Jason Puncheon providing the service to Fraser Campbell. There are three changes from the side that drew 0-0 with Swansea, Lee Campbell and Delaney coming in. On the substitutes bench, it's Martin Kelly-Shamak who's dropped out, Medley, Bakary Saka who's back from injury, Jordan Marks, Johnny Williams and Alex McCarthy.
Chelsea.
Well, the champions have Thibaut Courtois back in goal, 7th game back for him, but only 2 clean sheets in his last 10. Ivanovic is at right back, Zuma and Terry the central defensive partnership, and Cesar Azpilicueta at left fullback. Mikel now alongside Fabregas in the heart of midfield after Matic has dropped to the bench. Willian Oscar and Eden Hazard looking for his 50th Chelsea goal. He hasn't scored since he scored against Palace back in May. Support Diego Costa, who has 6 goals this season, is back after suspension. On the bench, Begovic, Grachman, Ramirez, Bertrand Traore, Pedro, Nemanja Matic and Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Our referee today is Kevin Friend. Alongside me in the commentary box as always, Stan Collymore. Chelsea are as bad as Villa on the road, having won just once this season. How do they start the new year with a positive outcome here?
Grinders. John Gregory, when he was manager at Aston Villa, and also Martin O'Neill and his staff used to use that word, and it basically sets in a player's mind that when you're going through a poor spell, you've just got to grind things out. You cannot flick a switch at Chelsea and get everybody playing like they did last season. So slowly but surely, clean sheets, defensively responsible, and then try and nick wins. 2 years ago, almost to the day, I predicted Crystal Palace 1, Chelsea 0, and people thought I was crazy. Not today.
The two teams are ready for the off. It's live on the biggest sports radio station in the world. It is a visit to the Palace. Will it be the Eagles or Chelsea who pick up the New Year's honours? You forgive the players for wearing snorkels and flippers today. The rain teeming down here, but it is the traditional red and white blue stripes for Crystal Palace who shoot from right to left, and Chelsea in black shirts and black shorts which fade to white, and white socks shooting from right to left. Here's Chung Yong Lee sprinting down the left, sliding along the greasy turf is Kurt Zuma to nudge the ball out for the first corner of the game in front of the White Horse Road stand away to our left-hand side. It's the one-tiered, small, diminutive little stand which sits behind a Sainsbury's. And the first man to take a corner on this wet and windy afternoon is Jason Puncheon, who is a boyhood Crystal Palace fan and is the 3rd highest Premier League goal scorer in Crystal Palace's history. Flooding the box with red and blue striped shirts, Crystal Palace attacking the goal away to our left. Puncheon delivers the ball, it's towards the penalty spot, it's over the head of Jelinek and runs through the area, and Eden Hazard, the Chelsea Belgian, runs out towards the far side to try and keep it in. He helps it on to their top scorer Willian, then gets a back heel back in his path, but he can't keep it under control. It's cleared away by Joel Ward at right fullback for Crystal Palace, and it's out and they're throwing over on the far side. 0-0 the score. You're listening to Talk Sport.
I think they're looking at Chelsea's attacking two other than Willian, Oscar and Hazard. Particularly the fact that Hazard isn't playing particularly well and Oscar is quite lightweight. They're going to do well to get in behind the likes of MacArthur and Jedinak today, who are a real physical presence. So they've got to think very, very quickly, and they've got to play at a tempo and a pace that perhaps they haven't at all this season. 1 and 2 touch, get in behind them and then try and get on the front foot. But if they try and aggressively go against them and go in a battle, the Palace 2 will win.
And just to almost add credence to your argument, as the ball came back to Oscar inside the centre circle there, he quickly pushed the ball through his own heels to keep it away from Jedinek. Jedinek was a little bit slower than he, took his legs away and won a free kick for Chelsea on halfway. Goalless, Chelsea in possession, deep inside their own half. Chelsea have drawn both their games under Husidink so far. The last was what was an insipid 0-0 draw at Manchester United. Missed chances and a crippling lack of ambition in the final third against a confidence-sapped Manchester United was troubling, but Hiddink quite openly says he has inherited a very different setup to the one he walked in the last time he was the Chelsea manager in 2009, when they had Drogba, Ballack, Essien, Lampard, Mikel, Alex, Cech. Here is Diego Costa, who's returning for him today. He's scything through the Crystal Palace half, running into him and timing his tackle perfectly was Damien Delaney, who pushed it out towards the far side. It goes out for a throw. Chelsea take it quickly. Here's Fabregas, and then infield it goes to Oscar. Oscar tries to send the ball square, but gives it straight to Chung Yong Lee, who intercepts and takes it towards halfway and tries to spark a Palace counter-attack. It slows, and that gives Chelsea the opportunity to regather their numbers, but Azpilicueta is being outpaced here by Fraser Campbell, who's working his way down to the corner flag. He sends a low ball into the box, but Chelsea play their way out of trouble, although Azpilicueta has been left down in a crumpled heap in the left full-back position, but Chelsea bring the ball clear.
It's a good counter-attack. I mentioned about Oscar and Hazard in particular not being perhaps the physically strongest to be able to take the game to Jedinak and McCarthy. Did you notice that Diego Costa dropped off into the number 10 position? Hazard made a third man run in front of him. Of course, he's played in a front position recently, and Diego Costa will run happily at Jedinak and McArthur because he feels he can ride the challenges and he feels he could go head-to-head with them physically.
Just got to point out the issue that Cesar Azpilicueta is suffering from, and there was a linesman down there, and I'm surprised it wasn't halted earlier. He went to ground in the left full-back position, slid on the floor. The ball was at the feet of Fraser Campbell. It just bobbled up in front of Campbell, who volleyed the ball in towards the goal, hit the ball, followed through, and almost took off Cesar Azpilicueta's head. His boot went right underneath the Spaniard's jaw, the Frenchman's jaw, sorry, and it goes out of play and away for a throw into Chelsea, but he is struggling to recover from that.
Back underway, just holding his jaw like you say, just giving a little rub. Magic sponge, he'll be fine.
Well, he looks as if he's a little bit sore under there. It's the Spaniard, Azpilicueta. Of course, spent most of his time in France, won the French league with Marseille, joined them from his first club Osasuna in June 2010. He's firmly ensconced in the Chelsea setup now. Once got sent off here actually back in October 2014. Alan Pardew standing in the technical area, which looks very boggy by the way, and his stadium jacket is pulled up right around his neck. He was wearing a trench coat earlier on, but he's now wearing a full stadium jacket with the hood up to shield him from the rain, as Azpilicueta has his first duties to do since being reintegrated into proceedings. He's chasing down in the left full-back position with Punchin, who eventually sees him put the ball out of play and away for a throw-in deep inside the Chelsea half. It's with Ward, who sends the ball into the penalty area, looking for Campbell. It's away by Zuma, but it wasn't a great clearance by him. It went straight behind and away for a corner kick, the second of the game for Crystal Palace, who have started lively.
Yeah, down the right-hand side in particular. Really good cross by Joel Ward near the corner flag. Absolutely soaking wet today, so you have to make sure if you're letting the ball come across you, if you're a Chelsea defender, we saw Zuma and Terry opening their body up, that you have to be careful. Boots are very slippy. Remember Vincent Kompany a couple of years ago, was it, at Fulham, where he made the attempted clearance, it ended up spooning over Joe Hart. It's that kind of day today, very wet, you have to be very careful.
Chung Yong Lee's corner in towards the penalty area, it's headed away by Ivanovic and picked up by McArthur, all the way back to Ward, who gets it onto his left foot, and then he hits it far too high into the Chelsea half. Punchin can't control it, skips off the turf and goes behind and away for it might be a throw-in actually, it might have gone down by the corner flag. It's out for a throw-in for Chelsea in the right full-back position. Palace have got a few injuries, they've drawn the last 2 0-0, but they are unbeaten in 6 games, Crystal Palace. These two played out a fabulous seesawing 3-2 at the Bridge earlier in the season. Palace won that late on, back in August. Here is Hazard losing the ball, and it's picked up by Zaha, who turns on the edge of the D and fires a shot towards the near corner, and Thibaut Courtois was beaten there, and it's a good yard so away from the right-hand upright, but it came straight through to Zaha after Hazard failed to clear, and Zaha nearly made Chelsea pay.
I think he'd be disappointed that he didn't hit the target there. You could have thrown a blanket over, 10 players? Left-hand corner of the 18-yard box when the throw-in came in, and Chelsea and Crystal Palace players were in a huge melee. Zaha decides to take responsibility with the ball at his feet, but I think he's in a good position. He's had a good look at the goal, he's had a good look at Courtois' position, and he fires the shot hard and low down. It got to know from the crowd, but I think he's got to be at least testing Thibaut Courtois on that occasion.
Palace 0, Chelsea 0 on TalkSport with Sky Sports, where you can watch all 7 Sky Sports channels anywhere you like with Sky Go on your compatible mobile, tablet or laptop. Willian has it just in front of halfway. Chelsea look a little bit vulnerable. They've spent most of this opening period inside their own half. We've played 7 minutes on TalkSport. It's been all Palace
See again
so far.
Though, Diego Costa is the man that's dropping into the 10 position. Almost as if he's been told by Gus Hiddink, you're the man that's got to be the physical presence today. You go and be a battering ram up against Jedinak and MacArthur and let Eden Hazard drift off that left flank into an attacking central position.
Well, he's staying on that wide left-hand side at the moment, Eden Hazard. He's hardly got involved. There's no point in Costa dropping deep and looking for the ball if there's going to be no one taking his position. Here he is, getting it off of Oscar, sending it wide where Hazard has it, 2 yards in from the touchline. He approaches the penalty area, cuts in onto his right foot, he shoots, it takes a couple of deflections and goes behind and away for the first Chelsea corner.
Oh, he's done his groin. Hazard groin. We had the situation, was it, against
Leicester City?
Leicester City. That's nasty as well, because when you're coming off that left flank and you pop that strike off, particularly if you've played games over the winter period, you have a little bit of a lactic acid build-up. Whatever you do at the training ground doesn't make any difference. Looks if he's nicked that groin.
Corner, Willian headed down by Ivanovic, but he heads it square across the face of goal, and it's met by MacArthur, and he hoists it into the very drizzly sky, and it's cleared to halfway. Back in by Pelikueta, but away by Scott Down, then flicked on by Chung Yong Lee, and here's Punchin, first time ball, which is overhit by Punchin. And he should have taken his time. He could have brought that down and charged into the penalty area. He didn't wait at all. He hit it first time and he overhit it over the head of Zaha, and it's out for a throw. And that was a real opportunity for Palace.
What's happening with players? We see it every week. Right and the left, you've got an opportunity. You've got central defenders and fullbacks running back towards their own. Shape the ball into an area. Nobody's coaching these players.
Campbell trying to waltz his way through the Chelsea defence after another poor piece of play by Chelsea, who give the ball away cheaply. This time it's tidied up by Terry, and Willian tries to take on the charge. He's running through the centre circle. Hazard is still on, by the way, and he's moving forward okay at the moment. He has the ball in his possession inside the Palace half. He taps it off to Willian, then gets it back again. Hazard moving forward, plays it into Costa, then he tries to find Fabregas, and it's away by Delaney, who is pushed by Fabregas, and it's a free kick to Crystal Palace just in front of the Palace penalty area away to our right hand side. You're listening to TalkSport. We've played 10 minutes. It is Crystal Palace 0, Chelsea 0.
I think even Stevens thus far, Chelsea trying to be a little bit more cerebral in their approach. They're trying to play from the back through midfield into wide positions as they do at their very best, but it's not quite functioning right at the minute, and they are hitting somewhat of a brick wall with MacArthur and Jedinak, whereas Palace are quite happy to soak things up, try and get Chelsea to nibble, looking for turnovers, looking to rat around the Crystal Palace defence, then one ball over the top, particularly in that right-hand channel for Fraser Campbell and Wilfried Zaha, which is semi-profitable at the moment. I don't think the quality of the deliveries when they've both got the ball in that right channel is very good, as we've already mentioned on commentary, but they're starting to get into those areas to at least make Chelsea think.
32% of the possession for Palace, 67.7 for Chelsea in the opening 11 minutes here at Selhurst Park, which is rain-soaked. Fabregas playing around with it on the edge of his own penalty area, gives it to Zuma via Terry, and Zuma in the end has just put the ball deep into the Palace half to keep it away from trouble. Here is Hennessy just inside his own area, picks it up and then bowls it out towards this near side where Pape Souaré, the Senegalese international, 25 years of age, picks it up, flips it forward into the chest of Zaha. Zaha gets there ahead of Zuma, brings it down, gives it back to Suarez. They just left the centre circle here, Palace, on halfway as MacArthur turns it out wide right, where Ward is waiting for it, on to Punchin, harassed by Azpilicueta, who takes the ball off of him, plays it infield to Oscar, neat touch into Fabregas, and then it's up to Costa, who is knocked down from behind by Damien Delaney, and there is the first yellow card of the game, and Costa is writhing around in what looks like apparent agony, but with Diego Costa you never can quite tell.
It's exactly what he wants as well, because again he's in the number 10 position in the central area of the Crystal Palace half of the pitch. Is that the reason why I mentioned about Oscar and Hazard obviously are not the physically strongest, but Costa will take those little bumps and bruises, plus he'll get yellow cards, which means the Crystal Palace defensive midfield too for the rest of the game have to be very, very careful. Or the central defender in that case.
Chelsea have it. They're trying to knit together an attack here. It's Mikel, who's the deepest of the Chelsea midfield players, playing it to Fabregas. He sends it out to the right fullback Ivanovic, who's 3 yards inside the Palace half. He hands it off to Costa, then Willian, then Fabregas and Willian, who's travelling through the centre of the pitch now, out towards the left-hand side. Azpilicueta. Deep now in Palace territory is Hazard. Hazard being faced up by the right fullback Joe Ward, and then he slips over again. Eden Hazard over on the far side, and the ball just drifts out in front of the Holmesdale Road ultras, who are over in the far corner, make all of the noise here at Crystal Palace, and it goes out for a goal kick to the home side. 0-0 the score. TalkSport live at Selhurst Park with 14 gone. Remember, next week we've got a bumper week of football for you on TalkSport. One of our best ever Tuesday night semi-finals of the Capital One Cup. Wednesday night, it's Everton against Manchester City. There are 6 games for you live on Saturday, Sunday and Friday night as well, when I'll be at Exeter against Liverpool. And Eden Hazard, just as I was talking then, has turned to the bench and done the universal symbol for replace me please, Gaffer. Yeah,
I mean, there was a little nick on the groin, and he's tried to run it off for the last couple of minutes, but they're going to need that player further down the line again. It'll ask the questions: is Eden Hazard fully committed to Chelsea? Is it a real injury? Blah, 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 blah. You have to give the player the benefit of the doubt, and if he is sulking, if he is feeling a little bit under the weather, mucky, filthy afternoon here at Selhurst Park, then get somebody on that is going to give some more dynamism.
He's still struggling, Eden Hazard. He's still looking over to the bench. The physios want to come on to deal with him. There has been a foul given in Crystal Palace's favour over on the far touchline against John Obi Mikel. Mikel, by the way, did not touch the Crystal Palace player, and the free kick has been given. He has made his point, John Obi Mikel, but the free kick has been given in the home side's favour. Even so, and Chelsea have got some defending to do, and they're basically down to 10 men here because Hazard cannot continue.
It's a great free kick position as well, Sam.
He's going to be replaced by Pedro, who's about to strap on his gold boots.
They want to get him on just to be able to add another body. I mean, whether or not he's warm enough remains to be seen, but they just want to have an extra body at every single Chelsea black shirt in their own 18-yard box. It's a very good position to the right of the 18-yard box, and when that is whipped in with the kind of dew on the grass today, a little flick, a little nick at the near post off a Jedinak, or maybe off a John Terry or a Zuma towards their own goal, has to be a good delivery. Lots of bodies in there can cause a lot of confusion.
And Palace really utilised set pieces well. They've scored 7 goals from set plays so far this season. Only 5 teams have scored more this campaign. And it is Chung Yong Lee to take it, right-footed, and it is terrible towards the far post. Headed back, though, and kept in by Campbell. Might well have gone behind already, it had, and it's a corner kick for Crystal Palace. It was very, very deep, that from Chung Yong Lee, and Palace didn't make the most of it. They may well make the most of this corner kick.
Don't understand that's happened 4 times now, either in open play or from free kicks. From the right-hand side to the far side, overhit. Put it in the danger area, because it's going to flick off all sorts today. You can even hit it low.
Punchin delivers the corner. It's aimed towards Damien Delaney, who gets a free header but can only loop it up towards goal. Thibaut Courtois just plucks that one from the sky, which is still teeming with rain. And Well, he bowls it out to Willian, and Willian's ball to Pedro is inadequate. Goes straight out, and Crystal Palace have it back again. It is Crystal Palace 0, Chelsea 0 on Talk Sport with Sky Sports, where you can watch all 7 Sky Sports channels anywhere you like with Sky Go. Wilfried Zaha chasing a loose ball, which is sent down the right-hand side. Zuma cuts across and makes sure it goes all the way back to Courtois. And then it's picked up by Ivanovic and cleared down the right for Chelsea. Chelsea with Fabregas now, getting away from Campbell. Campbell does well to harass him. He goes down Fabregas, and Chelsea lose the ball because the referee doesn't give a free kick, which he appealed for but didn't get. Chung Yong Lee in the centre circle, faced up by Mikel. Goes back to Jedynek. And then back to Ward, and then on to Chung Yong Lee, who's clattered into by a combination of Pilikueta and Mikel. Mikel eventually getting the ball back to his goalkeeper. And in jade green, Thibaut Courtois kicks towards halfway, but it's Palace who have it back again, headed down by Ward into the feet of Mikel, and now Chelsea have the ball. And Mikel wanders sideways with it, then touches it off back to John Terry, the Chelsea captain, who is 34 years of age. Now John Terry, 35 years of age now, John Terry. And conceded an own goal in Chelsea's 1-0 defeat to Crystal Palace here back in March 2014, but it's they who come forward now with Pedro getting the ball into his right foot from the pass from Oscar. It slams into the defender who's gone down and holding his head. I think it's Joel Ward who's gone down on the edge of the penalty area.
Very good block.
Clattered by Pedro's effort. Pedro only scored one of them in his last 15 appearances. That was on target.
Decent counter-attack by Chelsea. Play the ball into the right-hand channel for Cesc Fabregas, then it ends up with Oscar that's got time and space midway through the Palace half. Diego Costa's come from the left-hand side of the 18-yard box, Sam, to the penalty spot, made a really good run, and if you're looking to play that ball into him, you think to yourself, that's a great run, I can see him, I can play in front of him, but he just looked to his left and he whipped a lovely little ball almost sideways into the path of Pedro. I thought he could have took a little bit of an earlier touch to steady himself and get the shot off, but eventually when he did, lovely solid defensive block from the Crystal Palace central defenders, and unfortunately Joel Ward, the right fullback that came across, he was tracking the run of Diego Costa, perhaps just caught that one on the edge of his boot, a little nick, ankle, knee, just a little bit of a limp.
Let me give you the latest odds from Betfair, Sunday Exclusive's official betting partner on TalkSport with Betfair, where you can cash out on single or accumulator bets to take your winnings before the end of the match. Here are the latest odds. Crystal Palace 11-4, Chelsea 11-10, pretty even according to the bookies, and the draw is 21-10. You can try cash out at betfair.com or download the app and try it today. This is TalkSport, and it isn't a great view here at Crystal Palace, I'll be honest with you. It's a very old stand that we're sitting at the back of, and we've got a very narrow view. It's almost like peering through a post box to the pitch, and a bit truncated, so you don't really get the height and the depth that you would usually get at other grounds. And there are several posts in between us and the pitch. And now the telly's on the blink as well. It's cleared away by Joel Ward, who's back on his feet again, but only as far as Mikel, who sends a pass down the left towards Pilikueta, but is penalised for being wild with his swipe, and a free kick is given to Crystal Palace just 10 yards in front of their own penalty area.
I think Pedro's looked livelier in 2 or 3 minutes than Hazard did the previous 15. The difference is when you've got an attacking player that it's about body language. Pedro is looking busy. When the ball comes to him on the left flank, then he looked, shall I take you on? Shall I do a little check back? And he's asking questions, and all of a sudden if you're Joel Ward, you have to look around you. Crikey, this guy looks lively instead of the more languid Hazard at the moment. So they should keep forcing the ball down that left-hand side. It's still raining, it's going to get worse. We're probably going to see a little bit of what we saw a couple of weeks ago at St James's Park when Newcastle played Aston Villa, some line water. It's going to be a game for the skillful or the direct today.
Jedynek sends it down the left, looking for Pap Soiré, whose first-time cross is hooked into the area by Ivanovic inadvertently. It comes back out off of Terry, and it's picked up by Punchin. He sends it into MacArthur, and then Palace come out of the area and try to build once again. He's under pressure, MacArthur from Fabregas. Puncheon dives in to help out his teammate, and Palace regain possession. 0-0 the score on Talk Sport. And we play 21 minutes. Chelsea win it back, and Fabregas sends it infield to Diego Costa, who tries to charge forward. He does. He gets beyond Chung Yong Lee, gives it to Oscar. He wants it back again, but Oscar took too long to funnel it through to him, and he was harassed and dispossessed by Jedinek. And now Palace are in possession, 0-0.
Speed of thought isn't there yet from these mercurial Chelsea attacking midfielders. We've seen one go off in Hazard. We've seen Oscar pick the ball up a couple of other occasions, really well closed down. He's midway through the Palace half. Jedinak made a 20-yard run to dispossess him. And that's what's lacking at the minute. Bit of confidence, bit of sharpness from the champions of England.
Campbell picking the ball up midway inside Chelsea territory. He moves diagonally out to the right. A low ball which takes a couple of flicks, goes into the area. Chelsea half clear it. Here's Delaney forward to Chung Yong Lee. A little flick with his inside of his heel, which is met by Mikel, and Chelsea then try to go through the gears. Fabregas out to the left, and Pedro, who meanders towards the edge of the Palace penalty area. Palace doing very well to get so many numbers back though, and Chelsea, because they just don't have the confidence or guile to open them up, lose possession very quickly.
Palace have to try and take advantage at the other end though, Sam, because that's not going to happen forever, where Chelsea are running towards your back four
into blind alleys.
Into blind alleys. Somebody's going to pull a trigger on a day like today. It might just zip off the turf. Look what Man City did yesterday. Watford were cruising, 1-0 up, last 2-3 minutes of the game, because they were perhaps overplaying a little bit in the defensive third. They ended up losing. So if you're Chelsea at the moment, you're happy, you're keeping a clean sheet, you're keeping the ball fairly far away from your own goal and your own goalkeeper. But they need to be a little bit more clinical in front of goal. And as for Palace, when you get down that right channel, the delivery's got to be good. Got to be good.
Halfway through the first half, Puncheon to take a free kick, which is 8 yards in from the left touchline, midway inside the Chelsea half. Left-footed, heaps it towards the far post. He looks for Delaney, heads it towards goal. It drops under the crossbar. It's an easy catch for Thibaut Courtois, the Belgian goalkeeper. And they don't make the most of that set piece either, Crystal Palace. And we've had just really the one real test for Chelsea, the Zaha shot from distance, which went narrowly wide, which Stan thinks he probably will be disappointed with. And apart from that, neither goalkeeper has been too busy. Conditions aren't great. Puncheon takes a quick free kick. He sends Zaha away. He scampers into the area. Kurt Zouma.
Good challenge, Zouma.
Magnificently timed challenge. Slid in perfectly and studded the ball behind and away for a corner.
Had to be. Zaha breaks into the left-hand corner of the 18-yard box, heading towards the left-hand corner of the 6-yard box with pace, with intent. Zouma comes across him. He has to get that one right, otherwise that's a stonewall penalty. Comes away with the ball, comes away with the man. Corner, out-swinging left-footer to Crystal Palace.
Puncheon to take it in front of the White Horse Road stand. It's deep towards the far post. There's a bit of a melee. It's headed away by Chelsea. It's picked up by Pape Souaré 5 yards back from the D. Forward by Ward, claims of handball against Fabregas, who was charging him down. It breaks to the left. Here is Souaré into Puncheon, little trick to take him away from Oscar, and then it's won by Willian, and Costa runs into trouble. Puncheon sends an early ball into the box, sliding into the far post. Can they get there? Campbell hoists it high, but it's over the top of the crossbar. Scott Dan was in there as well, you know, and it just eluded him as he threw himself at the ball as it fizzed through the area. At the back post, Campbell was coming in. He got something on it, but couldn't steer it goalwards.
What a ball. Use the surface to your advantage. Too many players trying to whip the leather off it. Every commentary we say it. That's one of the negative things of what David Beckham brought into the game, because only he could really do it with that kind of whip and pace. Everybody's trying to copy it, and it means the ball doesn't go in there. That one was shaped in with pace. It whips off the turf like a fast bowler, and it bounces up, and all of a sudden you've got Chelsea defenders going back towards their goal.
Here's Campbell, straight ball through the middle of the pitch. It's picked up by Fraser Campbell, who takes it a little bit wide. He runs into Terry Nafbilikueta, who defend that situation well. They move the ball into Fabregas, and Chelsea can survive and recover and move forward again. But Oscar's running into traffic once more. Zouma is there to help him out, and Mikel then calms the situation, as he often does. Diego Costa back to Mikel. 0-0 the score on Talk Sport. 25 gone. Chelsea languishing in the bottom half of the table. Crystal Palace can go within a point of Tottenham Hotspur should they manage to win today. And that's a really, really late challenge by Afilicawator over on the far side on Chung Yong Lee. And seeing as Damien Delaney was booked earlier in the game, there's a few Crystal Palace supporters who feel that the yellow card should have come out from Cesar Afilicawator there.
It's tempting for a player today to take a run up and to skid and kind of, it's almost we saw it with the Newcastle Villa game. Players were loving it in the second half. They were skidding, they were making challenges, they were coming away. It was like almost playing under 11s football. But when you do, you have to win the ball. Very little margin of error with the incessant rain here today.
There was rain here a couple of years ago in September 2014, I think, and Afilicawator got sent off that day for mistiming a challenge in similar sort of circumstances. I don't know if the rain was as bad. It certainly is relentless here today in South London, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Chelsea 0 on Talk Sport. And remember, Tuesday night, Liverpool against Stoke against Liverpool in the Capital One Cup semi-final. Everton against Manchester City is on Wednesday. Exeter Liverpool on Friday. Here is Chung Yong Lee down the right-hand side, trying to dance his way towards the edge of the penalty area. Fabregas goes down under pressure from the South Korean and wins the foul. Palace fans not happy about that. Guus Hiddink comes out for the first time into the technical area, wearing a royal blue winter jacket. His hair a lot greyer than it was the first time he was the Chelsea boss. There was a few pictures on television earlier today of him dancing around in the Wembley dressing room with a cigar after Chelsea won the FA Cup.
I wonder whether Chung Yong Lee, could go out onto the right-hand side and bring Zaha into 10, just shake things up a little.
Oh, Costa's got away from Delaney. He's into the area. Support arriving. He pulls it back to Oscar, and it's tapped home by Oscar, and Chelsea take the lead, arguably against the run of play. They break down the right. There's a slip by Delaney, and Costa escaped his attentions. He got into the right wing position, and as he approached the byline, he cut it back for Oscar, who timed his run into the box perfectly to tap home and put Chelsea in front. It's Crystal Palace 0, Chelsea 1.
I said you've got to get your timing right with the challenges, and unfortunately the left-sided central defender, was it Damien Delaney, just didn't time his challenge right. He slides into, just to the left of the D, doesn't get the ball. Costa makes the run, pulls it back to the edge of the 6-yard box, tapping for an attacking midfielder in Oscar. 1-0 to Chelsea against the run of play, but they utilise the circumstances very well, and a poor attempt at a defensive block from Damien Delaney. 1-0.
Just switched off, tried to recover, couldn't reach it. Costa was away, Oscar was arriving, and Oscar tapped home for his 5th goal of the season, and Chelsea lead here at Selhurst Park as a result. And that might put a smile on Guus Hiddink's face. He came out of the dugout just moments ago and wandered towards the edge of the technical area, shouted some instructions, and all of a sudden Chelsea have found themselves in front in the football match. But Crystal Palace know that there's still a long way to go yet. Half an hour gone. Here on the left-hand side is Zaha, and he's teasing Ivanovic. He goes one way, then gets to the byline, then turns back again, goes back to the byline, pulls a low cross through the area. It's flicked half away, comes back to MacArthur, sets himself, sent wide, space for Chung Yong Lee, right side, tries to shoot. It's over the top of the crossbar. We know he can hit them from all sorts of angles. He scored a corker against Stoke not so long ago to win the match for Crystal Palace, and that wasn't too far away either.
Yeah, Chung Yong Lee finds himself up in the area that I suggested that he might be profitable in. Right hand side of the 18-yard box, midway, so between the corner of the 18-yard box and the goal line. Got to go hard and low. Instead, he hits it over the bar. It doesn't keep the ball in play. If you whip the ball hard and low, several things can happen. Somebody can get a tap in, defenders going back towards their own goal, put it out for a corner, goalkeeper fumble, somebody gets a tap in. You might get an ooh from the crowd, but that passage of play has ended when it could have begun.
Pape Souaré is chasing in the left wing position with Ivanovic. Ivanovic has wrestled him to the floor, and the free kick has gone the other way. Accusations by Kevin Friend, the referee, that Pape Souaré was tugging on Ivanovic's jersey, which Palace fans aren't too happy about. Certainly was a little bit of tugging on the back of the number 2 that Souaré was pulling on.
Going back to the goal, that's why I think a lot of people feel that Chelsea can't be in a relegation scrap, because it's not about we know that the team aren't playing very well, but when you have exceptional individuals, the pass from Fabregas, the spot and the run from Costa and the intuitive run from Oscar, is that you would think. I mean, there's no team in the bottom half of the table that's got that.
I wonder if James MacArthur might look at himself for not tracking the run of Oscar into the penalty area. Certainly something that one or two on social media will be discussing and are discussing. If you want to get involved, you can do. @Stan Collymore is the Twitter address.
We do get some great in-game analysis. A lot of people do listen to the game, watch the game, offer their insight. There's a couple of Palace fans earlier talking up Wayne Hennessy. Nothing he could do with a goal. I think either goalkeeper have had much to do today, realistically, in terms of strikes. Bearing in mind, the first thing you do as a coach is say, get shots on target, utilise the
Fabregas, Willian, Fabregas again, now inside the area, out the wide right position. Willian's cross is too deep for Diego Costa, flies through the penalty area, and it's gathered up on the far side, and it's picked up by Chung Yong Lee, who sends it all the way back to Wayne Hennessy, the Welsh goalkeeper. He hoists it high into the afternoon sky, the dank grey afternoon sky in South London today, as John Terry goes running back towards his own goal, and the ball is only about knee height when he dives and heads it back to Thibaut Courtois. For the older ones, it was Ted McDougall diving for Bournemouth at the Holt End in the old 3rd Division many years ago, or Andy Gray at the near post for Everton in a game I remember. It was that kind of height, very low, little header back to the keeper. Can Crystal Palace recover from this setback? Haven't scored too many goals recently. In fact, they failed to score in 5 of the last 10 Premier League games before today, and that will be of concern, especially with injuries and absentees. This is Zaha, though, onto Punchin, trying to get it back. Interception is by Fabregas on the edge of the Chelsea penalty area.
Nobody seems to want to pull the trigger. They've been getting in some really good positions around the 18-yard box, right, left and centre. They've actually been trying shots from the right and left.
Not many goals in this team, though, is there?
But look, Punchin and Campbell have had 2 or 3 good opportunities. Wilfried Zaha as well, 20 yards out, just to have that extra little bit of space to pull the trigger and, like I say, test the goalkeeper. You strike this with any real pace today, and that's going to zip off the turf and create all sorts of problems for Thibaut Courtois.
And this is Pedro, who is a first-half substitute for Eden Hazard, who injured himself in the first 10 minutes of the game, tried to continue but couldn't. And ball is on the left now with Fabregas. Fabregas into Pedro, steps over it, leaves it for Costa, gets the return. Pedro down the left, a sliding challenge in from the right fullback Joel Ward, tucks the ball behind and away for a corner kick over on the far side in front of the Arthur Waite stand, the junction that it meets the Holmesdale Road end, and there's a large collection of young Palace fans who call themselves the Ultras in that corner, who bellow and barrack any opposition player that dares wander into their territory. A few stewards just go across to make sure that Willian is protected as he places the ball down in the quadrant. There are 4 black shirts in the area. That's in towards Terry at the near post. He flicks it high into the box, but it bounces 3 times before Punchin allows it to run behind and away for a goal kick away to our right hand side. This is Talk Sport, Selhurst Park, where it is Crystal Palace 0, Chelsea 1.
Good corner from Chelsea. John Terry starts on the near post. He's running towards the kicker. He just runs to the uses the near side of the 6-yard box to run to and stops. And that should be the most profitable corner in football. Little flick at the near stick. It was a little bit heavy, to be fair. Just caught it on his right on his napper. But if you get the slightest of little touches and it goes to the far stick, everybody drawn towards the ball. Palace
and their supporters are a little bit upset that they're not getting the rub of the green with the officials. Here is Azpilicueta chasing down the left, or he's latched onto the ball here. He's shot towards the goalkeeper. That's a fantastic save by Hennessy. Down low to his left. A wonderful ball played by Oscar out to the left. Azpilicueta was screaming for it. He received it in the wing position, chested it down, ran diagonally towards the goal, fired it close to the goalkeeper, who thundered it away with a good save.
Great ball, halfway line, quarterback-esque, throws it to the left-hand corner of the 18-yard box. Wonderful run and take from Cesar Azpilicueta on his chest. He's heading towards goal, does everything right.
Willian in towards the near post, headed away by Fraser Campbell, collected by Chelsea. Oscar has it right side. They lead by a goal to 0 here. into Oscar, then Pedro, little flick to take it away from the defender, tries to funnel it down the right where he's looking for the very tall and mean looking Branislav Ivanovic, the right full-back for Chelsea, whose shirt is clinging to his torso because of the amount of rain that has fallen here in South London. And eventually it goes all the way back to Thibaut Courtois. We're approaching half-time on TalkSport, 8 minutes before that, and it is Chelsea who lead. Oh, that's a mistake by Oscar. He's given it to Chung Yong Lee. He can't control it. And Azpilicueta is profiting from that mistake. And Chelsea again managed to clear it. One of the things that is important, I suppose, from a Chelsea perspective about the goal they scored is the combination between Fabregas and Costa again. And that was something that was such a major feature of the season for Chelsea last year.
Well, I think that what Chelsea have done, like I say, they've given themselves a little bit more of a defensive platform to work from. Look, it's not stunning football, but then they're coming from a completely different place. And that place is lack of confidence, lack of cohesion. They defended a little bit deeper. I just saw a tweet from our colleague Danny Higginbottom saying, you know, Gus Hiddink seems to have got them defending 10-15 yards deeper as opposed to the halfway line, which is begging for teams to counter-attack. So it's hard to break them down. And then they're counter-attacking very quickly with lots of space and lots of good runners and passes on the ball, which is, of course, what Jose Mourinho initially did bring into Chelsea. They could defend quite deep. They could take the sting out of sides and then play through the middle with the good players that they've got. Maybe it's just a case of going back to the future.
The clearance from Oscar from the edge of his own area is repelled by Jedinek. He bounces into the arms of Thibaut Courtois. I suppose they had to go back to some sort of defensive base. I mean, I was a little bit scoffing about their performance against Manchester United on Monday night. I mean, the biggest feature of it was its dullness. But they did concede 29 Premier League goals up until that point. So, and for Chelsea to concede 29 goals in a season would be seemingly ludicrous.
Very rarely, if you're a manager of any standing, never mind, you know, Gus Hiddink that's got good technical staff around him, you would have to look at that and say, we cannot get confidence in our front four unless we're keeping clean sheets, because you go into it as a central striker or as an attacking midfielder, you think we've got to score 2 or 3 today. And it's almost what Everton are doing at the moment. Everton are going into games and thinking we've got to get Lukaku scoring at least 2 to be in a good position to win the game. No, what you want is back four defending properly and Lukaku to pop up in the 60th minute and score a winner, and that's the same with Chelsea with Diego Costa.
That's one way of doing it. It's not the only way of doing it,
It's not the only way of doing it, but I think that for Chelsea, like I say, leaking a lot of goals, that's where they have to get their confidence. As confidence grows, as they start to go on a run, then the defence higher up the pitch. They squeeze space, everybody's now ratting around and closing down, and they're a much more proactive outfit. But that's going to take time. You'll see Chelsea on your highlight shows, if they start to get results in the next month, watch where they defend today, edge of their own 18-yard box, 10 yards in front. Watch where they end up in about a month's time if they're starting to get results halfway line. Slow evolution of a team growing in confidence.
Ivanovic was just caught having a fight down this near side with Pape Souaré. Palace have a free kick. They cleared it into the Chelsea half, and Chelsea have won it back again. It's with Oscar, now Pedro across to Oscar, who flicks it on to Mikel, who's being chased by MacArthur, but he holds him off. And this is why John Obi Mikel's still at Chelsea, isn't it? For games like this, for times like this, when Chelsea is struggling, you call on someone who can just keep hold of the ball, keep everybody at bay. Yes, he'll make a little old mistake every now and again, but he'll just make sure that people are kept at bay, and that's what he's done here. And they've turned it over again, Chelsea. It's picked up by Fabregas, onto Willian. On the left side is Azpilicueta, who's making a run. Can Ward get there first? He can, and Ward does very well, because not only does he reach the ball ahead of Azpilicueta, he plays it off against the Spaniard, and it goes out and away for a throw-in over on the far side in the right full-back position. It's Crystal Palace 0, Chelsea 1, with 5 minutes to go before half-time on TalkSport with Sky Sports, where you can watch all 7 Sky Sports channels anywhere you like with Sky Go on your compatible mobile, your tablet or your laptop.
I think Chelsea have played really well in the last 10-15 minutes. Look like a good attacking unit. You mentioned John Obi Mikel and Cesc Fabregas. Cesc is not a tackler, we know that, but he can play in the holding, attacking and orthodox midfield position centrally, and what he's been allowed to do by John Obi Mikel, who's the kind of the defensive conduit, protecting the back four. He's saying, OK, I'm going to give you the ball. You now utilise your passing. Seeing 2 or 3 really good probing balls into the left and the right. The ball for Diego Costa for the goal. So it's looking like a functioning unit, which it didn't, let's be perfectly honest, for a number of games under Jose Mourinho, as he panicked and rattled cages. Is that he should have gone back to just basic coaching, which is what Jose Mourinho, of course, ultimately is good at.
John Obi Mikel was a major feature of Chelsea's lineup when Guus Hiddink was in charge back in 2009, and he is back in the team once again under the Dutchman. Ball is with Willian and Oscar. The move breaks down midway inside Palace territory. Chelsea win it back again through Terry. Now it's with Fabregas. And Chelsea have grown as the game has gone on. They got their goal when there was an opportunity for Palace at the other end to take the lead. And since then, they have been in control of the football match. Here is Pedro. Oh, he's lost it though. It's picked up by Punchin, sent out to the left. Sahara's chasing with Ivanovic. Ivanovic is going to get there first. He sends it back to Thibaut Courtois at some pace. Courtois does well to control it and then kick clear. And in these conditions, that was always dicey, but he managed to deal with it and get it up over the halfway line, and Palace are back in possession again.
For me, in the second half, attacking their own fans, the ultras away to our right, they've got to be a lot more direct. Crystal Palace, I think they can afford to do that. I think that they've got a good enough points tally, and they're in a good enough place to take 1 or 2 more risks. I think certainly with their shooting in central positions, pull the trigger, test the goalkeeper, be a little bit more direct. What are the Chelsea back four made of? Because Palace haven't got behind them so often.
Costa is in possession. He's dribbling towards the edge of the area, runs into Chong Yong Lee and Mili Jedinek, and loses possession. Ward attempts to clear. Costa slid in to try and prevent that. Terry heads it away. Pedro can't keep it in, and it flicks off the shin of the Spaniard and goes out for a throw in deep inside Palace territory. So Chelsea leading by a goal to nil as we approach half-time at a sodden Selhurst Park. The pitch has held up quite well, I think, despite the amount of rain that we've had. And Sags was explaining the benefits of the surface here that they spent a lot of money on. And we had problems at Newcastle a few weeks ago, and we had a lot less rain than this. Here's Punchin getting past Fabregas into the area and then clipping the ball again far too high and hard through the box.
I'm getting out the DVD in the dressing room, in the Crystal Palace dressing room at half-time, and I'm going to replay, if I've got the data analyst at hand, at least 7 opportunities that Palace have had in the right wing position and have just completely overhit the cross. You're never going to test John Terry and Kurt Zouma if you're going to play the ball over their heads, and it's the worst one to be able to get back into play, because you've played it right to the far side, to the left side. Somebody's got to crane their neck to nod it back, which might just then fall harmlessly in the hands of the goalkeeper. They've got into some exceptional crossing positions of Crystal Palace, but they have to play it hard and low on the ground and give your central striker Fraser Campbell something to get a boot or a stud or a head or a knee on the end of.
I've just seen Costa chase what was probably an improbable ball, which was going through to Wayne Hennessy, but even so, just to make sure that the goalkeeper had a doubt in his mind, he used every bit of energy he had to charge down and put pressure on the goalkeeper. We haven't seen that sort of fight from him much this season, and Chelsea will require that if they are to propel themselves up the table. There is a free kick late in this first half, though, as we approach the final 10 seconds of the 45, and Punchin has been awarded it. There's a bit of pushing going on between Ivanovic and Zaha on the edge of the area as Palace prepare the set piece, but Kevin Friend is trying to sort that out before this one's whipped in by Jason Punchin. He needs a decent delivery this time. Scott Dan, who's got 3 goals already this season, is up from the back. Damien Delaney is in there too. Fraser Campbell, Jedinek, all up on the edge of the Chelsea box. 2 minutes of added time at the end of the first half in the rain at Selhurst Park. It's not a great delivery, that, by Punchin. It's towards the back post. Dan heads it into the area, but it's easily dealt with by Mikel. Then Zouma turns and fires it up over halfway, and Palace inside their own half see it all the way back to Wayne Hennessy, the goalkeeper. He kicks long and high into the afternoon sky. Terry underneath it, heads it forward. It's picked up by Ward. He volleys it into the air. Azpilicueta underneath it. He heads it down. It goes back over the halfway line, and It's quite a poor end to what was a promising situation from the set piece for Crystal Palace, who trail by a 1-0 here to Oscar's 5th goal of the season.
Yeah, I think that's Chelsea have grown in confidence. We mentioned before the game of what they needed to do, and that's obviously keep more clean sheets, just to keep them involved in the game. What they don't want to be doing is some of the mercurial players like Fabregas, Hazard and Costa that have a propensity to go missing in games or have been poor in games this season, to be walking back to the halfway line having conceded yet another goal. Those kind of players flourish when you give them a platform to build from. Fragile confidence, all of them that they have. And you mentioned about the work rate of Diego Costa.
Here's MacArthur for Crystal Palace, midway inside Chelsea territory, finds Suarez, then down the left the ball goes into the feet of Zaha hemmed in by 3 Chelsea black shirts on the near side, but still manages to get a decent cross in towards the far post. Courtois comes, pushes it only as far as Chung Yong Lee. He came but then went back again. It's back into the box by the South Korean, dealt with by Chelsea, headed out by Mikel, out to the far side and away for a throw into Crystal Palace. Right at the end of the first 45, we've played our 2 minutes of added time at Selhurst Park. It's Palace 0, Chelsea 1. Throw in to be taken by Joel Ward, who's taking a bit too much time over this. Into Chung Yong Lee. It's Ward again. First time ball into the box. It's straight into the arms of Courtois, who pats it down, lands on the ball, and that is the end of the first half, in which these two teams separated by a breakaway goal. Fabregas' ball down the right, picked up by Costa, who took advantage of a Damien Delaney's mistimed attempt at an interception. He pulled it back for Oscar, who scored his 5th goal of the campaign. You know, Crystal Palace were the only side in the Premier League not to have been behind at half-time this season. Until now, it's Crystal Palace 0, Chelsea 1.
It is. I was shivering as you said it. I just came running back from the press room where there was soup and sandwiches on offer, and in between the press room and where we are in the commentary box, there's a gaping hole where we have to dart through and get soaked for about a minute in between. And as I sat back down, I felt the chill go down my spine. The rain's still teeming here. Chelsea took control of that game after scoring the opening goal. I think the goal was against the run of play initially, but once they scored, they really took a grip on the match, and they lead by 1-0 at the break. But Palace games usually produce twice as much entertainment in the second half when compared with the first. Double the amount of goals have been scored in second 45 games involving Crystal Palace this season. And we are underway in the second half with Crystal Palace shooting towards the Holmesdale Road end, the end populated by their most ardent supporters in those red and blue striped shirts, blue shorts. And they come forward immediately. Ward sparking an attack by charging forward from full-back. Puncheon with a cross into the area, which is a little bit too close to Thibaut Courtois. Zaha arriving, but maybe a second too late. And it's cleared away by the big Belgian goalkeeper. And he does so right up over halfway towards Willian. I'll run through the 2-11s for you in just a second. Chelsea had to make a change in that first half. Diego Costa giving the ball away. Eden Hazard was the man who was replaced because of injury. Pedro coming on in his stead. Down the left-hand side, Zaha is chasing for Crystal Palace into the wing position. Zuma across and he tucks it behind. So the home side with Hennessy in goal. Ward, Dan, Delaney, who's been booked, and Suarez, MacArthur and Jedinek, the two holders. Zaha, Lee, Puncheon and Campbell, the forward players. Here's Zaha into the box. Again, it's overhit. It comes through to Puncheon, though, right edge of the Chelsea penalty area. He finds Ward. Puncheon again into Ward once more. Ward into the box, takes it beyond Oscar, but can't keep it under control. And it's hooked away by John Terry up towards halfway. Scott Dan meeting it. All action start to the second half here at Selhurst Park. Chelsea with Courtois in goal, Ivanovic, Zuma, Terry and Azpilicueta. Mikel and Fabregas holding, and Willian, Oscar and Pedro behind Costa. They're in black shirts, black shorts, which slowly fade to grey, and white socks shooting from right to left in this second half. Stan Collymore alongside me.
Brighter start, I think, from Crystal Palace. A couple of the deliveries have still been a little bit overcooked, but not as much. They've at least had Thibaut Courtois coming off his line towards the edge of his 6-yard box, punching and taking the ball out the edge. Just what the doctor ordered. A nice, bright, aggressive start, getting behind the Chelsea back line, getting crosses into the box, something that Palace were not good at in the first half.
This is Azpilicueta. He's 10 yards inside opposition territory. He finds
Willian, and Chelsea just pop the ball around on halfway and keep hold of possession. Chelsea have lost here just twice in the league since March 1973, August 1990 against Steve Coppell's rampant team, and nearly 2 years ago they lost 1-0 against Tony Pulis-inspired Palace when Azpilicueta was sent off. Here he is on the ball.
How far both of those teams have come or dropped. The gap between them has narrowed, because Chelsea were overwhelming favourites on that day when Tony Pulis' side won 1-0 to come here and win the game quite convincingly.
This is Terry. Now it's Azpilicueta sending it forward. It's cut out by Scott Dan and fired into the afternoon sky, and it's out for a throw-in level with the halfway line. Chelsea leading by a goal to nil. Guus Hiddink is looking for his first win as the Chelsea manager, and he will be hoping that today is the day that he manages to yield it. And they certainly need as many points as they can get. Their situation in the table is not at all pleasant. A win today will take them up as far as 14th, a point behind Southampton in 13th. Here is Ivanovic wrestling with Fraser Campbell midway inside the Chelsea half. He sends it wide left to Suarez. Suarez again hitting it far too hard. Left-footed cross from the left angle of the penalty area. Through the box it goes, and it flies out for a goal kick.
I actually think, having played as a wide man here at Crystal Palace, and again having had very good teachers, it's almost more difficult when you're in a left or right wing position to overhit it than it is to get it in the box, because you're not having to hit it as far. All you should be looking at is goal line, edge of the 6-yard box, penalty spot, and put it in that area. Just think, I want to put in that. I do wonder what players think now when they're in a crossing position. Do they feel they've got to really put their foot round it and put it in with ultimate pace? No. Suarez got to the left of the 18-yard box. It was a very good run to get himself there. No problem with that. But then he hits it 50 yards. That's a difficult thing to do, bearing in mind that he knows that he's just got to get it in that crucial area of the 18-yard box. Anywhere in the 18-yard box, you're asking some question.
Is the wind playing a part?
Not at all. Not at all.
Here is Chung Yong Lee out to Pap Suarez, who's 2 yards in from the touchline. The left fullback that they picked up from Lille for £4 million last January when he signed a 3.5-year contract. They lose the ball, and Mikel will get it and give it to Costa. Diego Costa charging forward, takes it away from Jedinek and then spreads the play to the right. Chelsea now on the attack. Oscar starting to open up his legs. Costa has drifted into the centre. They've sent it wide to Willian. Willian to the byline, low ball into the box, which is headed behind by retreating James MacArthur, and it's out of play and away for a corner.
And therein lies the difference. Willian picks it up on the right-hand side. He takes a couple of touches, does a step over, and he puts it in that danger area, in towards the near post, in the 6-yard box. What did Chelsea get? A corner.
And they lead by a goal to nil here on Talk Sport. And the corner to be taken by Willian, right-footed in towards the near post. It's headed behind straight away by MacArthur at the near post. And it's out for a second successive corner for Chelsea, who have dropped 10 points from winning positions. Their resolve is weak, and Palace will know that. And they have turned around games here before. We've been present at them. Corner comes in from the far side, flicked away this time by Campbell on the edge of the 6-yard box. Chung Yong Lee back into his own penalty area, but it's flicked away by Campbell, and Zahara's picked it up and he's racing towards halfway, and he's got support arriving, but he runs into John Obi Mikel, and John Obi Mikel times his challenge impeccably, nabs the ball, and Chelsea have it back again.
That was super play, because John Obi Mikel didn't go and engage with Fraser Campbell. He didn't drop off, he just stood his ground, and he just said, OK, I'm going to force you to make the decision. You've got to go inside me or outside me. He went outside, bang, just comes away with the ball. Lovely block by John Obi Mikel.
There's been a wicket in the cricket. Talk Sports' John Norman.
South Africa 85 for 2. He starred with the bat, now he stars with the ball. Ben Stokes with the wicket, getting a leading edge from Elgar, which flew into the gully region, and Nick Compton did the rest. South Africa 85 for 2.
Chelsea have a free kick midway inside Palace territory. It's right of centre
and it will be angled in by the free kick specialist Willian, who's scored 6 direct free kicks this season. He probably won't score from here. This is far too far out. I've said that before. He drifts the ball towards the far post. Zouma arriving! It's just a yard wide of the post. Well, Kurt Zouma will look back on that and think he should have hit the target. It was angled in beautifully by Willian, in between the edge of the 6-yard box and the goalkeeper, and he came rushing in. Big Kurt happy Zouma, and he probably could have steered that back across the goalkeeper.
I think, to be fair to Mile Jedinak, although Jedinak was on the wrong side, the ball travelled a long way, right-hand side of the 18-yard box to the left-hand corner of the 6-yard box as you look at the goal, is that although Zouma gets in front of Jedinak does enough to put pressure on Zouma to not get a clear contact on the ball. But what a delivery from Willian. 2 in a minute. 1 from a set piece, 1 in open play.
Chelsea lead by 0-0. Pedro. Mikel. Pedro again. Meandering forward into the Crystal Palace half. The grass glistening because of all the water that has been sprinkled on it by the rain today. Under the floodlights here at Selhurst Park. There's a terrible ball by Oscar, which flies through the Palace half and straight to Pap Soiree. He gets it back to his goalkeeper. That's hoisted high into the Chelsea half. Zouma underneath it. Jedinak brings it down into the path of Puncheon. Puncheon takes it diagonally through the centre circle. Thinks he should have got a free kick for a foul on him by Oscar. Did get a free kick eventually. Kevin Friend just waited to see if play would develop in Palace's favour. And a free kick is given to them on the edge of the centre circle. The Palace fans at half-time were complaining about the referee. They were singing and chanting at him and saying, we always get bad referees. And there's a few different words used in that, but you get the drift. But he has given them a free kick here. And there was ironic cheers as a result. Chung Yong Lee drifts the ball into the box. Zouma misses it, comes through to Delaney, can't pull the trigger. Oscar pokes it away. And in the end, Chelsea get a free kick just outside the penalty area. Stan Collymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what Palace need to do is to freshen things up. And that would be from the substitutes bench, obviously. Joe Ledley, Chamakh, Bakary Sakho, Jordan Much could all add forward momentum and a little bit of guile as well in the midfield positions. They're looking a little bit functional at the moment. And what they don't need to do is to have a 10 or 15 minute spell where Chelsea again take control of the football match, to outpass them, create chances at the other end and leave it very late to throw the kitchen sink at it. If they're going to wrestle the game back, they're going to have to do it in good order. Just think that Crystal Palace are losing a little bit of forward momentum at the moment, Sam.
And Chelsea are just taking a tighter grip on the game.
They are.
Here is Pedro down the left-hand side, leading by 0-0. Azpilicueta. Back into Oscar, onto Pedro, Oscar, Fabregas, back to Oscar, who went to swipe at it. Fabregas took it away from him. Then Pedro with a cross into the near post, headed into the air by Scott Dan. It's fumbled by Hennessy initially under pressure from Costa, who takes it wide to the edge of his 6-yard box and eventually clears upfield. It's a quick clearance by Hennessy into the channel. Zouma is chasing with Zaha. Zouma gets there first, but he puts the ball out by the corner flag, and Crystal Palace, who were in their own penalty area just moments ago, are now high up inside Chelsea territory. They throw it in. It's Zaha, a back heel looking for Pap Soiree, cut out by Ivanovic, and then he finds Oscar and Chelsea clear.
I think that Crystal Palace are struggling to play in front of Chelsea. Not a lot of imagination, is there? And with players on the ball, they massively miss Yohan Cabaye. That's a player that, if you think about him starting on the centre spot and carrying the ball to midway to the opponent's half, he's either got a shot in him, he's got a cute pass, he's got some tigerish aggression in him, and it's lacking. The whole central midfield area of Crystal Palace at the moment is one reactive. Can we protect our defenders? But nothing going forward. So the goalie now, Wayne Hennessy, is getting the ball. He's doing what Kasper Schmeichel does, trying to ping it into the channels. But Chelsea are defending a lovely defensive line. Nothing is bouncing over them. Nothing is getting the better of them. Just cannot see at the moment Crystal Palace clawing their way into this game.
Kevin Friend has given another free kick to Chelsea. He's just booked Mile Jedinak, and now he's given a foul against Scott Dan, and Alan Pardew believes that
the Merseyside have got the ball, and he's screaming at Kevin Friend. Chelsea, though, have possession. Looped over the top by John Terry, headed away by Dan, won by Oscar, then Fabregas now tries to send it wide. He finds Pedro, but not quickly enough, and Joel Ward, reading the ball, slides in and puts it out and away for a throw-in away to our left-hand side. Chelsea leading by a goal to nil. Palace warming up some substitutes down in front of us. One of them is Joe Ledley. Fabregas, though, tries to just nudge the ball into a crowded penalty area. It's a poor clearance by John Terry as Palace attempt to get it away. And Piliqueta picks it up, dances round Punchin. Picked up by Fabregas, then into Punchin once again. Now Pedro. At the far post is Costa. Fabregas wants it once again. Now Costa and Fabregas, so many touches of the ball today, but in forward positions. Controlled by Ivanovic. Gives it straight to Chong Yong Lee.
He's not been reaching, has he, today, says Fabregas. All of his passes have been on point. He's not been that kind of player that looked out of sorts several weeks ago. He's just kept everything simple, gone back to basics. Left John Obi Mikel to do the
destructive work.
The destructive work. Gives him the ball, and then he goes forward and plays those little 1-2s that he's made a career out of. In and around the 18-yard box. Can he get it? Can he receive it back? Can he keep momentum going forward for Chelsea? Look, a decent unit at the moment. You have to say it was an encouraging performance in spells against Manchester United. A couple of draws, but certainly the way they're playing heading towards a victory today.
They'll be unbeaten in 4 should they maintain this. But here are Crystal Palace, given away by Costa, picked up by Campbell. He sent it to Zaha. Zaha inside the area, ball towards the far post. He just didn't catch it right. Well, he hit that very lightly indeed. There was no proper contact on the ball from Wilfried Zaha, who's only got 3 goals this season and 1 in his last 17 games. And it was an easy save for Thibaut Courtois.
Yeah, player lacking in confidence in the 18-yard box. Good play by Campbell. Runs at the heart of the Chelsea defence. Pops it to his left-hand corner of the D. Good run by Wilfried Zaha. He peels off the shoulder of Kurt Zouma well. But he's got to be taking his first touch to put it in his path to say, blast, I'm going to shoot across the goalkeeper. Very tame effort.
Well, Wilfried Zaha will feel that was an opportunity that has passed him by, because when he broke into the penalty area, he had space and time to get a shot away. He maybe took an extra touch when he could have released it early, and in the end he hit it in a powder puff fashion. Here's Willian at the other end. He never...
Oh!
He smashed it home from the edge of the area. Well, it's coming towards the edge of the box, and Oscar thought he was fouled. The referee allowed play on because the ball had run into the path of Willian, and from the edge of the 18-yard box, he has smacked it into the roof of the net. The ball played in by Fabregas to Oscar, who was brushed off the ball by Dan. The referee played the advantage as it ran through to Willian on the edge of the area, and he has lambasted that ball beyond Wayne Hennessy, who could do absolutely nothing about it. He could barely see it. And it's Crystal Palace 0, Chelsea 2.
An absolute master blaster from Willian. He's grown in confidence in the game. His deliveries have been good from corners and set pieces. One of the players that was playing well in the last days of the Jose Mourinho reign. Good advantage played by the ref. Willian is to the right of the 18, well, slightly to the right of the D. And Oscar goes up against the defensive midfielder. He gets fouled, but referee said no, play on. And a good decision it was. Falls into the path of Willian and puts his thigh right behind that one. 2-0 to Chelsea. Cannot see a way back for Crystal Palace.
Chelsea's top scorer in all competitions this season with 8 goals. He'd only scored 8 goals for Chelsea before this campaign. He has 8 in the first half of the season.
Oh, the real Chelsea standing up finally in this Barclays Premier League season.
How many times have we said that so far this campaign? Just as they attempt to turn a corner, they always seem to run into another cul-de-sac, Chelsea, so I don't think anyone will be getting excited, but this is a much more commanding display than we've seen of Chelsea so far this campaign, and it is against a very good Crystal Palace team, yes, robbed of some of their better talents because of injury and suspension, but they are leading at Selhurst Park by 2-0 now, Chelsea.
And Crystal Palace have got to respond. And it's a perfect time to score a goal as well because it's on the hour mark. Here's Punchin approaching the edge of the area, tries to shoot. It's blocked by Zuma. And Chelsea now counter-attacking with 5 players to Palace's 3. And it's with Costa who steps over it and allows Pedro to pick it up left side. Can he deliver a decent ball in here? He drifts it towards the far post. The answer to that question was clearly no, because he's hit it once again far too hard, and it's gone well past Oscar and out for a throw over on the far side. The Chelsea fans bouncing in the Arthur Waite stand opposite us with their hoods up and their woolly hats on, trying to shield themselves from the teeming rain. No such coverage for Guus Hiddink, who comes out towards the edge of the technical area and screams and shouts some more instructions as Costa closes down the goalkeeper once again. Hennessy forced into a clearance which takes the ball out of play over on the far side. And Chelsea have possession again, leading by 2 goals to 0.
Yeah, just looking at Alan Pardew down in the technical area. He wants to make a change. Like I say, they've got several players that could add some forward momentum. Probably Bakary Sakho, of course, the signing from Wolves.
I think Ledley's going to come on.
Good runner with the ball. In that central midfield area is where, for me, it's been lost today, because you think of Chelsea thus far in the season, they've been dominated, they've been bossed in that area. John Obi Mikel's done a really good job. Hasn't really been presented with so many Palace players running at him though. Just look at him now, 5 or 6 yards on the pitch, midway through his own half, in front of John Terry, protecting the old warrior, which is allowing Cesc Fabregas just to patrol a little bit further forward and play the football. Nice balance about Chelsea's side.
Zaha trying to turn beyond Willian. He gets the ball off of him at the second attempt, then tries to take on Ivanovic. Ivanovic is strong though, and he's wrestled him to the floor. But Zaha was the perpetrator, despite the protest from the Palace fans behind the goal. And it's going to be a Chelsea free kick inside the penalty area. You're listening to Talk Sport with Sky Sports, where you can watch all 7 Sky Sports channels anywhere you like with Sky Go on your compatible mobile, tablet or laptop. And it is Chelsea who lead by 2 goals to 0 at Selhurst Park, looking for their first win away from home since August the 23rd. And the substitution yet to be made by Crystal Palace.
I think Chelsea have played with their brains today. I don't think you've seen a lot of players running around sort of aimlessly. That often fans say, oh, they're not trying, players not playing. And you could probably argue there's 1 or 2 that was the case in the last days of Jose Mourinho. But it's also about playing with a balance and a cohesion, and playing round pegs in round holes. Now, Matic and Fabregas, when they first started playing together, were supreme. They were awesome. But it asks for a different challenge at the moment, just a little bit more stability, and the no-frills John Obi Mikel gives you that, and I think he's given a really good solid base to work from.
He's been excellent today, John Obi Mikel. Here is Ivanovic, right side, low ball into the 6-yard box, which is dealt with by Dan, who swipes it out of play over on the far side. It's away for a throw. And we talked about it in the first half, and the producer James and I were talking about it in the press room before the game. You know, when Chelsea need to find that solid base, they rely on him. Here's Oscar, edge of the area, allowing it to run across his body. Looks for Costa, but it's stabbed away by Delaney. Pap Soirée in the left full-back position will hoist it clear up towards the halfway line. It's brought down by Zuma. Zuma out to the right, and Ivanovic infield to Fabregas. Now space for Willian to run down the right-hand side. Moves diagonally towards the box. He takes out MacArthur, slides the ball through the 6-yard area. It's going to come through to Costa, and Costa's going to tap it home. Willian made it with an aggressive run. He squared the ball through the 6-yard area. It took a little flick up towards Diego Costa, and Diego Costa, who is back in the team after suspension, is back amongst the goals. His 7th of the season. Diego Costa scores Chelsea's 3rd. It's Crystal Palace 0, Chelsea 3.
Easy street, but a player earning his rewards, not just for a good spell of the season recently, but for a good season generally. I'll be astounded if he doesn't win Chelsea's player of the season. Willian breaks to the right-hand side. What does he do? Hard and low, what happens? Goalie either saves it or parries it out. He parries it out. Who to? Costa that's made the run. 3-0. Good night, nurse.
I know you often get tweets about it, but what does good night nurse
actually
mean?
It's just an old-fashioned saying, good night, when it's done and dusted. Good night, nurse. I don't know why.
Chelsea lead by 3 goals to 0. Joe Ledley's come on, and so has Shamak. So a couple of changes for Crystal Palace. And the players that have gone off, Fraser Campbell for Crystal Palace has been replaced for Chamakh, and Ledley has come on for Mili Jedinek.
Well, I certainly think that what you're going to see now is this formation played by Chelsea. I mean, I wonder, where does this leave Nemanja Matic when he's fit? Because Matic is more proactive, isn't he? He'll go chasing all over the pitch to win the ball. But, you know, he had that injury last season, which coincided really with Chelsea having won the title and sort of labouring to it. But if you're going to get results, you get results starting with a clean sheet, obviously. But that hasn't been a given for Chelsea. Even with the defensive talent, the experience that they've got, they've needed a little bit of help. And I think that John Obi Mikel has given that today, and it's made a difference to Cesc Fabregas. Because all you do is you look at John Obi Mikel and says, he's the destroyer, I'm the player.
Here's Oscar racing away with the ball inside Palace half. It's picked up by Costa. Costa just overstretched really and lost control of the ball, and then it repelled off of the Spaniard and goes out for a Chelsea throw in the far corner of the field away to our left-hand side. This will be a morale-boosting win for Chelsea and their travelling support, of which there are about 2,000 today, I think, over in the far corner, away from us, as I peer through the post box to see what's on the other side. It's cleared away by Courtois, up over halfway, chested down by the tall and lean Scott Dann. And Crystal Palace, who defensively have really been very good this season, don't concede 3 goals very often, Stan. They have done today. You're listening to Talk Sport.
Julia says, good night nurse started in the 70s following an advert for a night nurse cold remedy.
Cheers, Julia, we appreciate that.
I'll take your word for that.
At Stan Collymore if you want to get in touch. Only the second time all season that Crystal Palace have conceded 3 goals in the Premier League. The other time was against West Ham United on the 17th of October. Here is Wilfried Zaha dancing down the right. He delivers a ball into the box which comes off of Kurt Zouma and then off of Joel Ward and goes behind and away for a goal kick. But Zaha now coming out to the right hand side, and that's the kind of ball that we've been asking for, isn't it? Low into the box, causing problems along the floor, zipping off the turf. Haven't seen enough of it from Crystal Palace today.
Yeah, I mean, they've been poor. And like I say, when those little sporadic 2 or 3 minute forays into the Chelsea half come, all being well, or all good and well if you can't play yourself into those positions. But if you do get there, you've got to cross the ball into the box.
Here's Pedro, left-footed onto the edge of the area, blocked by Dan and then stabbed away by the same player. Oh, what a lovely bit of skill by Zaha, who lights up Selhurst Park with a lovely twist and turn. He moves the ball through the centre circle and then out to the wide left, and Chung Yong Lee laying it off to Punchin, and now it's with Pape Soirée. First time ball into the box. It's too close to the goalkeeper this time. Chamakh was arriving, but it was nowhere near him, and it was picked up by Thibaut Courtois and cleared away by Chelsea, who lead by 3-0 on Talk Sport, and they will be expecting to register their first 3 points now of the new year and of the new regime. They won against Sunderland in the first game after Jose Mourinho had been dispensed with, but Steve Holland and Eddie Newton were in charge that day. Since Guus Hiddink has been in command of the team, they've drawn twice, but they do stretch their unbeaten run, and they have 3 points on the board today, which is more like Chelsea.
I think they'll be disappointed if they don't keep a clean sheet as well. That's the final nail in the coffin for Crystal Palace, and it would, you know, a clean sheet at Old Trafford, a clean sheet at Selhurst Park, goal scorers getting back on the goal trail in Diego Costa, attacking midfielders on the assist trail. Then you've got something to work with. Then you can legitimately start to say, could Chelsea go on a run?
Let me give you the latest odds from Betfair, Sunday Exclusive's official betting partner. On TalkSport, you can cash out with Betfair on single or accumulator bets to take your winnings before the end of the match. A £25 pre-match bet on Chelsea now means you can cash out for £49. The latest odds, Crystal Palace, 150 to 1 to go on and win the game. I'd give you more than that. It's miraculous if they do. 100 to 1 for the draw. You can cash out at betfair.com or download the app and try it today. Chelsea unbackable. They're 3 goals up Here's Willian. He's in the dead centre of the Palace half. He's sizing one up. No, he slips it wide right to Costa instead. He runs into the penalty area. He's driven wide by Pap Soiree. Back to Willian, who does a little turn before attempting to get the cross in. He's faced up by Chung Yong Lee. He goes square to Ivanovic. Ivanovic runs backwards, and Chelsea keep possession of the football. 3-0 they lead at Selhurst Park. The Chelsea fans cheering every pass at the moment. Oscar from Fabregas. Now Costa with his back to goal. Funnels it wide right. Willian into the air. A nod by Fabregas to Ivanovic. Now Willian again. This time he miscontrols, and it's out of play and away for a throw-in over on the far side.
A lot of the energy is gone from Crystal Palace's play. When they play at their very best, they play with aggression and tempo, but Chelsea have quite simply broken their spirit and their will. So all that they can hope for is to rescue some pride out of this game and give Alan Pardew with big games to come. They've got Villa away next, Manchester City away, and then Spurs at home. So 3 tough games, one against a relegation threatened, almost confirmed side, and then 2 sides at the moment that you could legitimately say are making a really good fist of attacking the European places of some description. Is that they have to get back on track. They're going to get players back, of course, key players back, but still nonetheless he'll be looking at his squad and saying, is it deep enough, is it quality enough? Should we be able to put up more of a fight against a Chelsea side that haven't been getting performances, even with the likes of Bolasie and Cabaye out?
Do you have to factor in the fact this is like the 3rd game in 6 days for Crystal Palace, with the squad depleted as it is by numbers that I mentioned?
But like I say, I mean, we looked at the bench pre-match and we thought that's a pretty good bench, so that must be a pretty good first team. There's your problem. Wilfried Zaha, right wing, right to the 18-yard box, overhits yet another cross. I do not think, and we've seen it at least 2 or 3 times in every Premier League game, I don't think I've seen a Premier League side this season overhit as many crosses as Crystal Palace have had today. Haven't asked enough questions of Terry and of Zuma. Chelsea have now got a comfortable lead, so therefore that confidence will have grown amongst the Chelsea back four that they can go on and keep a clean sheet. Poor crossing.
Well, and it's remarkable really, because they put in more crosses into the opposition box than any other team in the Premier League, Crystal Palace. Maybe I think Southampton have put in a few more, but I mean that might have been rivalled today with what Crystal Palace have produced here. They trail by 3-0, and Alan Pardew looking increasingly perturbed by what he's seen. I think he feels as if he didn't get any help from the referee today, but I think since the first goal Chelsea certainly have been the better of the 2 teams and taken a strong grip on the match. And they lead by 3-0. Willian has certainly been in the heart of the action. John Obi Mikel has been important for them too. Here's Pedro darting forward. To the left is Costa. It's played behind him, and it goes out of play and away for a throw-in.
Well, now for Chelsea. Coming up next, West Bromwich Albion at Stamford Bridge, Everton at home, and then Arsenal away. Again, 3 tough games. Tony Pulis' side will test them in terms of their ability to break down a back four. Everton have goal power in them, and of course the lure of the X, maybe Romelu Lukaku, and then Arsenal. This is the real Chelsea. If they come out of those 3 games with 6 to 9 points, then they legitimately can look forward to a new year.
Chelsea leading by 3-0, and you're listening to Talk Sport. This is Oscar across to Mikel, who's 5 or 6 yards inside his own half. Chelsea just keeping possession here, and like you say, Stan, this is a team, Chelsea, that want to keep a clean sheet here today. That's important for them to have that base as they go into the second half of the season, trying desperately to haul themselves up the Barclays Premier League. Costa runs into traffic. Pap Soiree up over the halfway line, and I think Palace have just almost lost the will to live now.
Which would be disappointing for Alan Pardew, because he'll be looking for a 15 or a 20-minute rally that says, right, we can go into these next games and not have anything to worry about. I certainly think that the way that they've knocked off in terms of their work ethic, and again, that's why I always judge. I look at the end of a season. Who's going to... It's last man standing. If you've got 25-man squad of quality, you can bring in quality players and hopefully for 6 or 8 games play as well as the players that are either injured or suspended. The question is for Crystal Palace, can they do that? Can they do that? And was the talk of Europe a little bit premature? That will worry him today. 3-0 against the side below them in the table.
Can't overreact from one result, though.
No, but it's not been one result, has it? I think they've had, a couple of draws in the last 3 as well, struggling to score goals. You can't just say, well, players that are out, because players are going to be out for every team. It's the players that come in you need to be concentrating on. You need to be saying to Wilfried Zaha, get in training, get your crosses on point. Fraser Campbell, pull the trigger on more strikes. Likewise, Jason Puncheon.
Well, they lost today, but they've drawn against Swansea, drawn against Bournemouth 0-0 over the Christmas period. They beat Stoke, they beat Southampton, they drew with Everton, they thrashed Newcastle. You know, it hasn't been a bad 6 or 7 weeks for Alan Pardew and co. But this is the first defeat in 7 matches for them. Pap Soirée picks it up, takes it towards the edge of the Chelsea penalty area. Palace, though, trailing by 3-0, and if this was a boxing match, the towel would have already gone in. Here's Zaha skipping past Azpilicueta into the box, fires it through the penalty area, hits the chest of John Terry and goes behind. And John Terry, just to signify that to the Palace supporters behind the goal away to our right, pulls up his black t-shirt and shows the big red mark on his left breastplate where it came off and went behind and away for a corner. He goes to mark inside the box to look after Joe Ledley. Shamak inside the area. It's Joe Ledley who gets a header on the ball. Dan is up from the back, and so is Delaney. Now that did flick up and hit the arm of Kurt Zouma. I think it was inadvertent, and it's cleared out on this near side.
We're just looking for positives at the moment for Crystal Palace. I think that the back four have looked as shaky as I've seen them. I think that what we talked about, Chelsea being able to get in beyond the lines, they've done that several times. You know, we've seen Azpilicueta making really good runs forward from the left-hand side. And dare I say, Palace have had their will broken, a side that doesn't happen very often. So there you go again, trying to play through midfield, giving it away, taking more gambles and risks. They might yet succumb to a fourth, Sam.
And Costa takes the ball down on halfway, and Scott Dan has just kicked out at Diego Costa because he knew that Costa had got away from him there, and it was so blatant. It's a yellow card straight away, but that was, cynical isn't even the word, because it wasn't cynical, it was just very naughty.
It's an old school, there you go, have some of that. Costa's on the left-hand touchline in front of the technical area, and Scott Dan's clumped him. This isn't a stud down the shin or something snide. This is old school. He's just been kicked.
Have that. Chung Yong Lee has been replaced by little Johnny Williams, who's only 5'2", just come back off of a loan spell from Nottingham Forest, and he's gone out into the left wing position, the little Welshman. His blonde hair and his black gloves on, and he's chasing this ball which has bounced inside the Chelsea half, and it's all the way back towards the goalkeeper Thibaut Courtois. Don't forget to tune into the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast tomorrow morning 6 o'clock. He's going to be joined in the studio by Danny Murphy, the former Liverpool midfielder. He'll be reviewing all the football action from the weekend, looking at some of the games coming up and chatting to all the big names from 6 o'clock tomorrow morning on Talk Sport. Alan is back. They'll get you Monday up and running, that's for sure. Let's go off to the game at Goodison Park. Headline team news for Everton against Tottenham. It kicks off at 4 o'clock. Here's TalkSport's Graham Beecroft.
3 changes to both sides. Out for Everton, Galloway, McCarthy and De La Feo. In, Baines, Lennon and Cleverley. For Tottenham Hotspur, out Trippier, Dembele and Rose. In, Ben Davies, Eriksson and Walker. So 3 changes per side. Everton against Spurs at Goodison Park.
Chelsea have the ball with Fabregas, who's released Costa down the left-hand side. They're attacking the goal away to our left, leading by 3-0. A couple of the Palace supporters just starting to drift away from proceedings. That one huffed out by Ledley and cleared towards halfway. One back by Pedro, now Fabregas. And then Wilfried Zaha gets it back for Crystal Palace. What's happening in the cricket in Cape Town? Still England cruising, John Norman?
Well, cruising, yes. It was almost the perfect day, but Joe Root has just put down AB de Villiers. South Africa 107 for 2, so still a whopping 522 behind England's first innings score. But Jimmy Anderson, who doesn't cut the happiest of fellows at the best of times, has, he's got a frown on him that would take some beating. A standard regulation drop at but first slip from the bowling of Anderson. Joe Root puts down de Villiers. We'll see how costly that is. South Africa 107 for 2.
Cheers, John. Thank you very much. John will keep you up to date. Here's Fabregas from a corner for Chelsea. He's overhit it. It's gone right through the penalty area and out over on the far side. You're listening to Crystal Palace 0, Chelsea 3 on TalkSport with Sky Sports. Watch all 7 Sky Sports channels anywhere you like with Sky Go. And if you're Goose Hiddink right now, what are you thinking? I've got a chance here to take this team up the table, or
without a doubt, yeah. I think that the performance today from them, and you can only go on what you are most recently presented with, has been better than any performance from a side in the foot of the table. Southampton are currently labouring. Sunderland, good result for them yesterday, but they haven't really hit a run of consistency. Likewise, Newcastle up the road, Swansea City are struggling.
So if they play like this, where can they get to?
They can get solid top half of the table finish. I mean, it really does depend how... I mean, this is a very good victory, like I say. Clean sheet potentially today, clean sheet at Old Trafford. I don't think there's any reason why they couldn't threaten 7th and 8th. But they've got to go on a really good run to obviously to be able to do that. But are they capable of doing that? Of course they are.
Well, if you look at 7th in the table, that's where Crystal Palace currently are on 31 points. Chelsea obviously will pick up points because of the victory here today. I'm just trying to find the live league table, but it's eluding me at present. Chelsea 14th with 23 points. So they'll be 8 points back from Crystal Palace in 7th. That's bridgeable, isn't it?
Without a doubt. And then you're looking at, above that, it's going to be very difficult because West Ham have Payet back. I think that will give them a big psychological as well as tangible lift in terms of assists on the pitch. Manchester United, good victory for them yesterday. And then there's no way... I worry for Leicester that the goals are starting to dry up a little bit.
Delaney delivers a ball for Crystal Palace from midway inside the Chelsea half to into the box. It's easily clears the way as Chelsea lead by 3-0 with 7 minutes remaining on TalkSport. But Oscar's won it on halfway away from Johnny Williams. He runs into the Palace half. There's space on the far side for Fabregas. They did not spot his run, and Chelsea will try and build again from halfway. Got Scunthorpe next week live on TalkSport Chelsea. West Brom after that at home, Everton at home, 3 home games in a row now, and Everton in the congested period. They might think that they can get a few results together here, but then again, how many times have Chelsea looked at the Premier League fixture list and thought that this season? And they've got Arsenal, Watford and Manchester United again.
I mean, I wonder whether Matic and to add a little more of a dimension on it, whether they could play John Obi Mikel as the sitter and have Fabregas and Matic playing as a 2 with width around them and Costa up top.
Great turn by Pedro, runs into the Palace half, finds Oscar, dances his way through, then shoots. It's blocked by the diving Scott Dan on the edge of the 6-yard area, and it's smuggled away by the Crystal Palace defence. That was good football by Chelsea, inspired by Pedro down the left-hand side. A lovely little jinkin move beyond the defender. He moved towards the centre of the Palace half, relief Oscar, and Oscar's little dance took him into the area, and he was so close to making it 4-0 to Chelsea. And the confidence is starting to flow amongst those in black jerseys here at Selhurst Park today. They quietened the usually very noisy crowd here. And with a little over 5 minutes, or a little under 5 minutes now remaining, Chelsea are going to take all 3 points. It will be only Palace's second defeat in 10 games, but it will be their 4th defeat in the Premier League at home this season. They are better on their travels.
Bob has said on social media, why are you talking like the world has ended for Crystal Palace? You have seen the players that we're missing. Yes, I have. But it wasn't me, it was your manager that talked about getting into the European places. And to get into the European places, you have to have players that are prepared to come in when your key players are out missing through injury, suspension, whatever, and to be able to perform at the same ability. Otherwise, you don't get into Europe.
And Willian again down the right-hand side, this time combining with Oscar. He slides the ball through the box. Dan comes to Palace's rescue. And Scott Dan, who is a leader at the back, turns and tries to galvanise his troops, but Chelsea take a quick corner and they fire into the box. It goes back outside to Willian. Matic about to come on for Chelsea right at the end of the game. Here's Ivanovic, who went to shoot, then cut back inside, gives it to Oscar. Oscar down the right, loads of space for Willian. He moves into the area, he chips the ball towards the back post. Costa is waiting for it and he volleys it well wide. He had a lot of time to think about that. It came across his body. He was waiting. And then as he shot with his left foot, it just came off the outside of his boot and flew away and behind and out for a goal kick. Chelsea substitution. Oscar, who started the goal-scoring proceedings, is coming off, and Matic is coming on. Stan Collymore.
Yeah, I think that in terms of the performance today from the Chelsea midfielders, it's been 1 and 2 touch, it's been simplicity, but sometimes you have to do that to play yourself out of a hole, get all of the mental fog of what's gone before out the window, and say to very good players, and if you say to very good players, 1 and 2 touch, keep it at that, get a healthy lead, then go and play. That's what Chelsea have done today. They've grown into the game. Oscar has been as influential as anybody else. I would suggest that maybe on away days against opposition that don't have, you know, the injury list currently that Crystal Palace have, that I wonder if Matic and Mikel might be a really solid platform and play Fabregas in Oscar's position. But a good performance from all today.
Handball on halfway against Pedro, and Crystal Palace have the free kick. Crystal Palace have got some big games to come, and they over the next few weeks. Southampton in the FA Cup, they're not having a great time. Then Villa, and then they go to Manchester City before entertaining Tottenham. So it's a big few weeks as well for Alan Pardew and his men. It'll be interesting to see what they do in the transfer market upcoming. They have been linked with a number of players. Pardew usually very astute in the market. His acquisition last year of Pap Suarez certainly made a big impact to this Palace team.
I think they need a little bit of guile and imagination from central midfield. You know, you can't just rely on one player to be. It doesn't happen in the Premier League. You can't start talking.
A striker. Everyone needs a striker.
Somebody prolific. Yeah. I mean, again, you know, Charlie Austin, his name will probably pop up, but I think he's probably going to wait out this season and either go back into the Premier League with Palace or with QPR or another. So why would you bother leaving in January? I think the players now are quite happy to wait that extra 5 or 6 months, get some confidence by scoring goals, and they don't grow on trees. There aren't a lot of great strikers out there.
Fabregas down the left-hand side, moving towards the byline, still trying to cut in as he runs into Scott Dan and Joel Ward, and then he gets grabbed by James MacArthur, and the two of them hug each other and fall backwards into the advertising hoardings. Ward acts as peacemaker as a little bit of anger blooms between the two of them. Kevin Friend calls the situation to a halt and acts as the arbiter in the dispute. We have 30 seconds of normal time to be added at TalkSport at Selhurst Park, where it's Chelsea who lead by 3-0. It'll be the first win under the new boss and only their second win in 7 games, Chelsea. This is Zaha down the right-hand side, trying to dive into the wing position. Azpilicueta goes across, puts it out of play and away for a throw. Shamak tries to turn it back infield and finds Punchin. Punchin now. Terry holding him up. Chelsea will really want to keep a clean sheet here for confidence purposes going forward. Azpilicueta turns, fires it out.
See Zaha there, he's got an opportunity this season with Palace doing so well and being in the spotlight to get in an England squad, but he's just tried to do a trick there. Little flick with the outside of his boot. Do the basics, son. Beat the fullback, put the cross in the box. When you've done that 6 or 7 or 10 times a half, then you can start doing the tricks. He needs pulling to the side and being kept on top of, and if he needs to be kept on top of, then he's never going to be a top player, because he needs to realise that it's about his crossing ability.
This is Zaha, lovely little move to get it into the box. He finds Shamak, it comes back to Punchin, who's falling and shoots, but it's not the easiest of efforts for Punchin to execute, and it's saved by Thibaut Courtois, who very quickly dispatches the ball out to the right-hand side. It's picked up by Willian, who darts infield. He's got support from Fabregas down the right. He sends it in towards Costa instead, and it just dribbles past the Spaniard and into the arms of Thibaut Courtois. But Chelsea, a thoroughly professional performance. 3 minutes of added time to see out. They've got Costa on the score sheet today. Oscar starting proceedings off. Fabregas and Costa seemingly coming back into a little bit of form. Mikel sitting at the heart of the midfield and making sure that Chelsea's backline aren't breached. And as Gus Hiddink was saying in the press conference on Wednesday, I think it was quite an early press conference this week because of the bank holiday and the New Year celebrations. He was saying, you know, we need a team performance to protect our goal.
It can't just be our back four that are criticised. It has to be everyone who works hard to make sure that we keep clean sheets, and they will keep a clean sheet to Jade Chelsea.
Yeah, and that's happened, Sam. There's no doubt about that. I think that sometimes a manager earns his corn not by systems, not by buying great individually talented players, but being able to get the best out of, putting an arm around somebody. I think he probably would have done that with somebody like Cesc Fabregas and said, look, keep it simple.
2 clean sheets in a row. Here is Costa trying to help it through to Pedro. Pedro chasing with MacArthur, and it's all the way back to Wayne Hennessy. Palace fans still trying to urge their team on and showing their support. They know they've had a great season so far. To be in the position they're in at this stage of the season is no mean feat by any stretch of the imagination. They'll sit in 7th tonight, and for Crystal Palace, those are heady days. Free kick given to Chelsea. Mikel, as the weather has dried up here towards the end of the game. The pitch actually wasn't that bad in the end. It just shows the quality of the surface they've got at Selhurst Park. Here is Fabregas. Fabregas taking it towards the touchline. Lovely little turn away from Ward, puts it through his legs, but Palace end up with the ball. Zaha turning infield past Matic. Chamakh makes a run. He makes a good run. He picks up the ball and sends the ball towards the back post. A terrible cross. Zaha had got into a good position. So had Pap Soirée. And it was a poor delivery in the end by Marouane Chamakh. And there is the full-time whistle. The last action of the game. Chris Hiddink shakes the hand of Eddie Newton and Steve Holland, his assistants. Diego Costa stands in the centre circle with his hands on his hips. Willian takes the plaudits, as will John Obi Mikel. The back four, all 4 of Chelsea's defensive players, Terry, Zuma, the right back Ivanovic, and the left back Cesar Azpilicueta, embrace, because they know that for the second time in quick succession they have kept a clean sheet. It is out with the old, it is in with the new. Chelsea ringing the new year with a first win for their new manager and a first win away from home in the Premier League since August, and maybe, just maybe, a renewed sense of purpose for 2016. It has finished at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace 0, Chelsea 3.